What's going on, everyone? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. I had something happen a couple of weeks ago, and then I had something happen a couple of months ago. Both of them kind of apply to something that came up today in discussion with somebody else that I was talking to. And then I came up with an analogy that I was thinking of earlier, and I was like, huh, that's like literally junk removal to a T. So a little while ago, I did a job for someone who they said, I'm glad that you're here because this is my first time using a small business. I've always gone the franchise route, whether it's for, like a large project in their house for renovation, or a plumber, or electrician, moving, junk removal. They've said they've done junk removal multiple times. They always use like junk luggers or 1-800-GOT-JUNK or something. And I said, I told her, like, I found that to be interesting, and I asked her why. And she said, because I know they're going to show up. They might come a little later than they say if they give me a window, but I know they'll be there. And if they're not, they will definitely be there the next day. And I thought that was interesting because I told her, like, I worked for these two different companies and they're larger franchise companies. And she's not wrong, but I always found it annoying that you can tell someone between 10 to 12 and they're going to get there like 3 o'clock and they might not even tell you that they're going to come. It's just a part of their workday. But she did make a point, like, if they're not there, like, then they're either going to come later or they'll come tomorrow. But what she was kind of pointing out to me was that she's used small businesses before and they just never show up. No call, no show, nothing. And that's not the most unbelievable thing, because in Florida, services are known for being unreliable. And when people find you and you actually show up and you call and you confirm, it's like a mind-blowing situation. I've had it happen since I started business. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you called me. You're here. You got the job done. Like, everything was like flawless. Like, it's never happened. And I was like, really? I feel like it's a common thing. And I learned over time it's not. And that's just something that I never really put two and two together. Like, people will always choose the franchises over smaller people like me and you, unless you're a franchise, because they trust them more, because we may not show up. Now, when she was telling me this, it reminded me of something that happened a while back. So I went to go do a job, and we've done videos of this exact person on the channel. I've done multiple jobs for him. I did a job for him at his house, and it was a small job. It was like maybe a quarter of a truck. He said that he had another guy who was supposed to come out yesterday and pick this stuff up. It was like $250, $300. He ended up never coming. And the guy called him and he said, hey, I just wanted to check in because you were supposed to come today. Did you get backed up? I understand. Like, can we push for tomorrow? I just need this stuff out. And the guy told him, he's like, oh, no, sorry about that. I had a big clean out come up and I went to that instead. And he never even told the guy. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So he ended up calling me instead. And I came out the same day and got the job done. And he told me about that. And I was like, that sucks, because this guy has since used me 6 times for his house. And I've gone to 2 of his offices to do junk removal. And he told me the last time I was there that he's going to be transitioning his offices later this year. So he might need junk removal at 3 different places. And these are like commercial jobs. So the fact that this one guy was like, oh, I could go make a little bit more money here than what you're going to pay me, so I'm going to blow you off and go do this job instead. That's not good business skills. So it kind of got me thinking, like, that's what the lady was talking about. Like, you call this company, they don't show. For whatever reason, they just never come. And then you're having to go back and reschedule and bounce around. And a lot of people don't like dealing with that shit. And I think that's where it kind of comes down to, people like convenience over anything else. And that's why junk removal is what it is. Like, anyone can go out and get a U-Haul. Go hire a couple kids off of Facebook, pay them $20 an hour to go load up some junk, go bring it to the dump, have them offload it. All together, probably costs you a couple $100 tops, versus hiring someone like us to go in that maybe it costs them like $750 to $1,000 plus, right? You can easily save that money just by doing a little bit of the work. And it's not even like you're doing the labor, you're hiring that out, but you are 100% getting it done. So that's just something I was thinking about. And then earlier today, when I got gas, like, I never go to the more expensive gas station. Some people do that. We're going to talk about that. So the gas I got was $3.15. It's been fluctuating between like $3.09 and $3.50 for like the last 8 months. It was $3.15. Across the street, it was $3.67. Same gas, regular, same exact thing, nothing different, just different brand gas stations. And they actually had a study a few years ago. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description. But they had a study where they were basically surveying people of saying, if you had a gas station right here and a gas station across the street, and there's a 50 cents difference, are you going to go to that cheaper one? And surprisingly, a good chunk of the percentage said, no, I'm going to go to the one right here. And some of the reasons behind it was, one, it's convenient. It's right here. Like, why waste the time at the light to go across the street, to go wait at that gas station that's cheaper, so it's probably more busy, only to save a couple of bucks. Like, it's not even worth the headache, right? I'm somebody that will happily accept that headache and not perceive it as a headache. But that's how some people are. And then some of the other people were saying how they just get gas wherever they are. It doesn't even matter, because at the end of the day, gas is something you need to operate your vehicle. You're always going to need it. You're always going to get it no matter what. And it fluctuates so often throughout the year that, yeah, it might be cheaper this time, but that doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper next time. So what's the point in stressing over the difference? Like, just go get gas. And that kind of got me thinking, like, that's a good analogy for junk removal. People are going to go for convenience of hiring a junk removal company to do it, even though it's more expensive than something they can go do for themselves. Some people are going to call you the first time. You're going to answer the phone. You're going to say, yeah, we can come out tomorrow morning. It's going to be X amount. They may know, oh, that's a little high. I could probably get it cheaper, but I don't want to have to call the next guy and go through this process all over again when I already have him right here. So he's just going to go with you. And I have had people do that and tell me that before. So I think gas stations is a good analogy of, you know, if somebody calls you and they say, oh, like, you know, 300 is a little high. Could you do like 200? I know a guy that could probably do it a little cheaper. You know, I don't want to have to spend that much money. It's up to you at the end of the day if you say yes or no. If you're desperate for money, you're desperate for money. But I would encourage you to say, sorry, we can't do that, and let that customer go. You will always have another customer that will happily take that 300 or more or whatever it is. Or you'll have someone that's a little bit more lenient to say, like, oh, 300 is a little high. Could you do like 275? Like, some people just want a deal. And if it's not going to break your bank, but it's going to secure that job without making it like, you know, a ludicrous amount off, then, you know, you still make profit. It is what it is. But I thought that was a pretty interesting analogy, like how similar that can be. You know, I've had people call me to come pick something up, and I'll tell them it's going to be, let's just say 300. And I don't hear from them. And I'll call them the next day or 2 days later, or like the day before they were looking for a service. And they'll be like, oh yeah, no, sorry, I got that taken care of. My maintenance guy ended up doing it for like 350. And I'm like, I told you 300 though. Why would you go with the 350 guy? And it's because, oh, well, they were here. Like, they were already here. They were right there. They were on the spot versus just contacting me about it. But at the end of the day, they weren't ready to do it until that day anyways. And the maintenance guy just happened to come by, and he was like, oh yeah, I can get this done right now for 350. So instead of, I guess, calling me back to make sure, like, hey, can you still come out on this day? You know, it's little things like that where convenience really takes over sometimes and kicks, you know, pricing out the window. So always remember that when people try to lowball you, or they don't want to pay for your services, or they think it's too expensive, just know that junk removal is a luxury service that is meant for convenience, and the prices are going to fluctuate everywhere. Some people are going to go with you for different reasons. Some people are going to go with other places for other reasons. Just stay in your lane and continue forward, and don't let that kind of get you down. I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the last like 6 months, and they are all having the same issues. And I have just found to acknowledge it, keep it in mind, keep pushing, find your niche for marketing, stick with it. That is what I found to be helpful. So we're going to run in and get some errands done, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.